I was very concerned for the fans that the rumor mills, the Snoke theories would start flooding in, and people would be sort of starting to piece together, well, is Kino Loy related to, to Snoke? And I have to tell you, he's not.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
I was just telling Jerry that this is not only my favorite Star Wars Disney Plus series. I think it's one of the best pieces of Star Wars they've ever made in the history of Star. Honestly, it's just incredible. So seriously, thank you for your time.
Well, I mean, I'm a big fan of all of the episodes, not including anything that I've done in it, but I too, I think it's an amazing piece of work. Really do. I mean, Tony Gilroy he's such a masterful storyteller. He's awesome.
It's genius. I'm going to jump into this. The moment that we learned that you were going to be on this show, many of us instantly had the same one question, which is he playing Snoke? Is this character somehow tied to Snoke? But I'm really curious, when Lucasfilm reaches out to you, do you have to ask that question? Is there any part of you in the pitch that has to go like, guys, be honest with me? Like, is this a Snoke thing? Is this going to have any connection to Snoke?
No, but I was very concerned for the fans that the rumor mills, the Snoke theories would start flooding in, and people would be sort of starting to piece together, well, is Kino Loy related to, to Snoke? And I have to tell you, he's not. And just let's put that to bed, and everyone can just, not even have to go on that road. But yeah, no, I was slightly concerned, and but actually, it was overruled by the fact that I loved Rogue One, and when Tony Gilroy approached me to do it, I just thought, I'm sure that people can let me be. Snoke is distant enough in terms of his appearance, his being, whatever he represents. This is the opposite end of the spectrum. This is a human character. He has a very sort of strong grounding in, so I felt safe.
It's incredible what you do with it. And it really is incredible seeing you come back into Star Wars and give us something new and fresh and different. Who is another actor from the Star Wars universe you would love to see come back and play a totally new character to see what else they could do in this galaxy?
Oh, wow. Let me think. Gosh. What's his name? Harrison.
I don't think there's anyone named Harrison in Star Wars. I think you're confused.
Oh yeah.
Okay, but seriously, for a second, picture Harrison Ford in like one of the C-3PO, like in one of the droid. Could you just imagine grumpy Harrison Ford in his like? I would buy every ticket to that movie till the end of time to see that movie.
It'd be great. I mean, he'd have fun as well. He'd have fun.
Well, because he actually really does love. Because I see him every Halloween. He like dresses up every Halloween. Like he actually probably would have a great sense of humor about it. So I would love to see it.
Yeah.
Whenever I see really great moments in this new era of Star Wars that we're in, I often think, man, like I really hope George Lucas somehow sees this. I wonder what he would think if you could sit with George and ask him about your contributions to Star Wars, whether as Kino or as Snoke. What is something you would love about your work to get his thoughts on?
I would love him to. Well, I'd love to know. First of all, I would love him to think about further Snoke. Actually, I think I'd say to him, look, I don't think we've seen enough Snoke. I think people would love to see more Snoke, and really, really kind of infill the lore behind Snoke, because I think there's so much fertile ground that's yet to be covered. So I think that's what I'd kind of try and get out of him.
Oh, I was just about to say you tampered the fan theories by separating Kino and Snoke, but now you've just reignited the fan theories all over again with the idea of a George Lucas Snoke movie. Like that, I don't know what you've just blown up the internet. I've got to say, whenever you create a Star Wars character in this universe, do you as an actor have to come up with their opinions on things that we're familiar with? Like, do you know what Kino Loy thinks of Darth Vader, what he was doing during the Clone Wars? Has he ever seen a lightsaber? Like, do you flesh him out in that way?
Not so much, because I think in this world and where he operates, I think it's like a microcosm. I think particularly Andor feels, what's so great about it, it feels so human, and grounded, and sort of away from the kind of the dark and light version of Star Wars. It feels like you're invited into these lives in a much more human way, and so I don't think he's much more about the survival of humanity, and the kind of, and I think he feels more. I think the whole thing feels more real in that way. Do you know what I mean? It's like the day-to-day struggles, and so I don't think there's time in a way to consider that level.
And that's why I think I love this show so much, is that it is sort of smaller focused, and it's also so tangible. Like the shooting locations and the sets, I feel like I can, like the things that they're building in that prison, like I feel like I know how much they weigh. Everything, I can feel the weight of it. I know that you were around 13 when the original Star Wars, when A New Hope came out. I don't know if maybe that was too old for you to have been buying action figures at that time, but thinking of the Andy Serkis who did buy toys and action figures, would you have wanted the Kino Loy action figure?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm hoping that secretly that there will be one. I'll still buy one now.
I would pay, again, whatever money I have left over after the Harrison Ford droid picture, I would spend on all of my Kino Loy action figures. Really quick, shifting gears for just a second, I'm curious as to whether or not you've had time in your very busy schedule to check out Rings of Power yet.
I have.
What are your thoughts?
I think it's really beautifully crafted. I think there's some really great performances in there, and I recently did a reading of the Lord of the Rings for Audible, and in the preface, in the preface, in the foreword, it covers the Rings of Power, the age that is dealt with in the Rings of Power. So I was au fait with that world, and I just think it's a really beautiful rendition. And again, having the time to be with those characters, I think is very, very exciting. I know the Lord of the Rings fans are loving it. So.
Is that a strange experience for you? Like, this is probably right. This is the first major sort of Middle Earth project that you weren't directly involved with in some form or fashion. So is that interesting for you to now be watching it as a fan, as opposed to your experiences on Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit?
Yeah, I mean, well, as I say, I sort of, yeah, it is, and I really did enjoy. I just thought it was, again, the scale is incredible in terms of the cinematography, performances aside. It feels so epic, and in the same way that this does, in the same way that Andor feels like, that you find it hard to separate it from movies. They feel like movies, every single episode. So it does have that mythic and scale-wise kind of epic nature to it in Rings of Power, in the same way that Andor does feel like it's a huge movie.
Well, I want to wrap on Andor because I've seen through episode 10. And I guess what I'll say is that I really hope that this is not the last that we've seen of him. Do you have that answer right now? Do you know whether or not there is more to come? When they pitch this to you, do they talk about the potential of plugging him in films or like in other areas of the galaxy? Like, how much further do you think we could see this character? Because I genuinely think, I told Jerry this, I was texting my buddy Kevin McCarthy, who that I think this is one of the best performances of your career, and I don't want it to just be these 3 episodes.
No, it's amazing. Well, thank you. Well, look, I can't give you any answers to any of those questions.
Not with that attitude,
because I don't know. But I've loved playing him, and who knows? I mean, there's always a possibility, I guess.
Okay, then I'm gonna have fun with you for a second. So we know where Andor takes place in the timeline of Star Wars. We're about 5 years out from A New Hope. What is an event in the original trilogy that you would love for him to see from afar and go, "Oh my God, look at that," just to get his reaction to something that we know so well in the Star Wars lore?
I think probably. I think the arrival of the Millennium Falcon.
I would like to see Kino Loy and Han Solo share it just to see if they got along, just to see. That's a lot of like masculinity and you know, like kind of in one scene together. That would be okay. One quick nerdy question, then I promise I'll let you go. In the prison, are they building parts for the Death Star?
That's not a question I can answer directly, but let me tell you that the parts that they are building, and I'm sure people will have to figure this out for themselves, and I'm sure that many have, if they're really watching closely. They are building something for the Empire that is used for nefarious purposes. So I'm going to leave it there.
I freaking love talking to you, man. Seriously, I genuinely, I tell you this every single time, and Jared and I geek out. I truly believe that you are one of our best actors working today. And beyond that, you are kind enough to fit me in every time you have an incredible new project. And I'm not blowing smoke. I think this performance is one of the best performances of your career. And I always truly appreciate getting the time to talk with you, man. Seriously, thank you for always being so kind to me.
Thank you so much.
All right, good,
you too, mate.
Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you.
Care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.